So I have a confession to make. I bought Kragnos a while ago.
Okay, good.
And so for my armies, I get super like into the theme of the army, right?
I mean, Gitz is a good way to do it.
I have to have a theme. So my whole theme of my Gitz army is that they're in the light of the bad moon, right?
Sounds like a pretty good theme.
I barely paint. I didn't even paint them. I basically just did monochrome on all of them.
Sure.
Right? So up there in that corner is my proxy Kragnos. If you guys can all see that. But you see the arms?
Yes.
Joel, can you do me a favor and just grab that from that top shelf for me? It's bad. This is one of my great shames. It's okay. It's a little heavy. It is the size.
It's a little heavy.
It is the size of a actual soccer ball. Yes. It's a regulation soccer ball. Easy, Joel. It's top heavy.
You know, at least.
Yes. It is.
Okay, this is not. How do you even play with this?
You don't. That's why we're here going to talk about it, and you're going to teach me the. Now here, let me put that. Yeah, hold that up. Take a seat and put that. Put that. There it is. Look at the nose.
All right,
and everything.
I'm just gonna make sure everyone knows that I didn't do this.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Empty Wallets. My name is Christopher, and I'm here with Joel from A House of Hobbies, and we're going to talk about Gloomspite today. I already showed Joel my Kragnos proxy. Approved.
It is approved, but I didn't do it.
Approved it. Yep. He's over there. This is great.
I almost want to take that to the next tournament and play it and just be like, this is my Kragnos.
Well, so technically, and correct me if I'm wrong, right? You have to have the weapon. Oh my god! You have to have the weapon, right?
No.
Cameron's the TO. Cameron hooked me up.
So actually, no, not even with the only time weapons matter is if there's different profiles. With Kragnos, he's always got the same, so you don't even have to keep them.
Oh.
Now, granted, you can't show no one. If you didn't have those and you show up, this is my Kragnos, you'd be like, I don't know, man.
So you don't think I could show up to a tournament with?
If you had the way it's currently set up, you could do that. You could run it.
Because it is technically, I got Kragnos base on here.
You do. It is the base. Wait. What?
TO Cameron.
Yeah. See, no, I would let you use it. Yeah, no, I'm good. Yep.
It's okay. It's more for because I'm dumb and.
This is when the chariot turns back into a pumpkin.
What if I'm gonna keep this here the whole time?
That's fine. You do that.
Raccoon eyes for me.
No, I haven't finished this yet because
what's with the nose though?
Those are
the
his
horns.
Yes. So
Great.
I'm like, might as well. I was gonna do big old eyebrows on him, but I'm like, gotta put it in the nose.
You know what? I gotta say, pretty creative.
Very inspiring, right?
Pretty creative.
I'm just saying, this is.
I would have never thought about that.
It's all about the theme, man.
Yeah,
it's all
and
about the
you
theme.
killed it.
We'll have to talk about Kragnos because I don't even. Is he any good?
Kragnos is very good. He's very, very good and gets very, very good.
Did you play that in our tournament?
You played Trolls.
You played.
I played Troggs, but I played Troggs with Kragnos quite a bit.
Okay, cool. So I'm glad we're
very inspiring Kragnos.
Off to the races. So let's just dive right into it. Let's just give me a basic overview of how you got into them. You know, just let's start there. How'd you get into them?
Well, so I play a lot of armies, but I was kind of drawn into Gitz just because they're wacky, right? They're kind of the wacky stepchild of AOS. Mm-hmm. They've been around for a while. They have many different play styles, all kinds of different models. So they're kind of wacky, and I like the style that they play in. So that's kind of how I jumped into Gitz. I'm still continuing to collect them. They've got a ton of models to collect. So it's
they're great.
They're super wacky.
That's what I bought them for.
Yeah.
I bought them because I wanted a boatload of GROTZ and a boatload of little dudes, and probably not the best way to play them from what I'm starting to learn, but they're still a lot of fun. So let's start with some of the mechanics. Tell me about some of the big mechanics. Obviously, I know, just to preference something too. I play this army as well. I don't play them at the level that you do, but I've gotten good with just using a bunch of little guys. They're good here and there, but tell me about some of the bigger mechanics and how that all works.
Yeah, so Gitz is kind of themed into 4 different styles. Well, not maybe styles isn't the right word. Maybe 4 different. I wouldn't even call them subfactions because you can run multiples, but 4 flavors. We'll call them 4 flavors.
Okay.
So you have the goblins, which are kind of wacky. They do more damage to themselves than other players do.
Yeah.
So they're kind of wacky, and that's kind of how they play. Then you have Squigs, which are little monster things that run across the table and eat things. So that's the other, one of the flavors. And then another flavor are kind of like big Troggs that hit hard but move slow. And then lastly, you have spiders, which are, exactly what they're supposed to do. They jump out from nowhere and grab you and do that. I would say they all have a distinct play style.
Okay.
And if you want to dive into one of the play styles, I recommend for players to just do that and not kind of, it's hard to mishmash all of them because it doesn't work well together.
Okay, so you're saying that you should kind of focus on one or the other, right?
Yeah. At least when you start, there's probably ways you can make things work with a mishmash of a bunch of stuff. But I think they work best as a cohesive group for each flavor. So.
Okay, cool. So tell me a little bit about. Let's start with the goblins. Tell me about their mechanics, right? Like if King's Gitz, right? So if I'm focusing more on goblins, tell me a little bit of mechanics around them.
So for goblins, I wouldn't consider them. I know you probably play a bunch of goblins.
I play too many goblins.
I wouldn't consider them a good competitive flavor. Goblins are great at are screens. They're good about getting in front, capturing objectives.
Yeah.
But playing all goblins.
So you're telling me 120 shooters is just not.
I mean, you could. That sounds obnoxious, but you could do that.
Hey, I comboed what was it? 60 shooters with Gobapalooza.
Okay.
And then I hand-gorked them. And this was, I think, I played with Philip not too long ago, and I hand-gorked them just right in the front of everybody.
Sure.
And just did, you do your shooting, and then you do on your Unleash Hell, and just pray to get. I think I got them up to, because it's +1 to the attack characteristic if they're over 10, or is it a 20?
I think it's
10.
I can't remember if it's 10 or 20.
Yeah, but so that's 120 shots, but they suck.
I mean,
I think I got like
if you
90
if you roll well, go for
off.
it.
Yeah,
if you roll well, go for it. They're not very consistent, right?
Yeah.
So
okay, so
and they die to a swift breeze. So.
That's...
But I mean, again, goblins are great for screening and capturing objectives. That's their main purpose.
End of the video. We're done. Everybody go home. I've wasted so much money. So, anyway, but okay, I get you.
So that's the goblins.
Okay.
Next we'll go into squigs.
Yeah.
They're more of your alpha strike, get in the face, and they do lots of damage. The thing with the squigs is they kind of play in a castle type play style where you want to make sure that all of your auras are in place. You don't. And then again, I'm just talking about maybe from a competitive nature.
No, that's
squigs.
okay. This is great.
You never want to yeet skigs into something and hope that you're going to do well, right?
Okay.
It might work well for the first turn, but then they'll die after that.
Okay.
So you really want to move them as a castle up into wherever you're supposed to go. Make sure all of your buffs and your auras are together.
Perfect.
And then we've got the big Troggs, which
and is that what you focus on mostly? Or you did at our little tournament?
Yes. I like Troggs the best. I think Squigs are the most competitive, but I think Troggs are probably the best overall and probably the best new player friendly flavor to use.
Cool.
They're very forgiving. They can still be competitive.
Yeah.
And so I think that new players, if you start out with Gitz and you want to do a lot of the competitive play or just play in general, I definitely recommend doing Troggs because I think that's an easy way to start.
Cool.
But yeah, they're essentially just slow moving, get up in there, but they do lots of damage when you get in there. So
okay, cool. And what about spiders? What's their? Because I know
Spiders.
I don't know much about spiders, actually. I've never tried them. I know they're cool models. But...
Yeah, so I got into Gitz because I wanted to play spiders. And then I found out that they're not competitive and they're really bad.
And when did you start playing those? Was it before their update or after their update?
After.
Okay, gotcha. Their new book. I'm talking
collected
old book.
all of the spiders. Thank God I did, because when the new book came out, you couldn't find anything. Like everything was sold out forever. So luckily, I got all the Git stuff before the new book, so I have them. But I initially got it for the spiders because I really wanted to play a spider army. Like, who wouldn't want to play a spider army?
They're so cool.
They're awesome looking, and they're like the big spiders are like ones, huge.
And I think you can. Can you run a whole army of those now?
Yes, you. So you can. They're just not good.
See, this is why.
And they're not good for. They're not good for me. If you're into gambling.
Yeah.
And you go to Vegas.
Yes.
And you love just throwing everything on black.
We are on the same page right now.
Then play spiders, right? Yeah, exactly. Then definitely play spiders. If you can roll sixes, like if they're hot, then spiders will do fine for you. But
because those are mortals, right?
Yes.
On sixes.
Yep.
Dang.
Sixes are mortals for all the spiders, which is pretty cool. But it's not consistent and something that is fun to play, but not competitive.
Okay, got you. So a big part of their mechanics, right, is the bad moon.
Yes. Yep. Everything needs to be in the moon.
Give me like a very brief overview of the mechanics of the bad moon. I know obviously it moves across the board in certain times. I know you can control it in certain ways. I know it brings certain buffs. So just give me an overview of the bad moon.
So essentially that's the whole shtick of Gloomspite is your units want to be in the bad moon. They get certain buffs. Just quickly, I think goblins get a 4-up rally in the moon.
Yep.
Troggs get a +1 to save. Squigs get a run-in charge if they end their movement in the bad moon. And then spiders, I believe it's a 5-up for their venom, for their mortal wounds.
I think that's ringing a bell.
Yeah,
it's either. I remember there's a way they get 5-up.
Yes, it's either 5-up or a +1 to their mortal wounds. I can't remember which one it is. But essentially, you just want them all in the bad moon.
Yeah.
There's multiple ways to get them in the bad moon. One, you have your train feature.
Yep.
Loonshire.
It's up there, Joel.
Well, I mean, you could use that as your train feature.
This is a real regulation model. This is not.
It's
a train
something.
Feature.
I'll say that. But yes, so you get an aura with your Loonshire, your train feature.
Is that 12? Right.
12 inches.
12 inches. Okay.
And then you, like you said, you get to start the match with your moon starting in a quadrant, and that moves as it goes on. You also get moon from Kragnos, who's got a 12-inch.
Yep.
And then you also get the moon from an endless spell. So there's multiple ways to get your units in the bad moon.
And is it super important? Well, let me rephrase that. So it sounds like it's super important to keep your units in the bad moon when you can.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that a make or break? Is that something where you use the moon more as a buff, or is it just like, oh, it's nice to have?
It's pretty significant. I think they work best, and they're best.
Like you're missing out if you're not in the moon.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now I think there's one battle tactic where you can kill something and all of your units aren't in the bad moon.
Yeah.
And so you have that benefit, but that's really the only thing that you.
That's like if you just happen to have nobody in there. It's very situational. So going off of that and talking about units. So what are some notable units that you really like? What are some really core units you think are, I know we talked about GROTZ being screens. I know if you're playing one army style over the other, like if I'm playing spiders, do I take GROTZ? What are some notable units? Because I know Skagrot's pretty good in most armies. Is that correct?
He's almost an auto include. He just has so much utility.
That moon thing is pretty.
The
dope.
Moon thing. He's got free commands. His spells are really, really good.
He knows all the spells, right?
He does know all the spells. Okay. His War Scroll spell is fantastic.
What was that? What's that again?
It's on a casting value of 3.
Okay.
So it's really easy to get off. And then whatever your unmodified roll is, you pick something within 24 inches, I believe it is.
Okay.
And roll dice, and I think on every 3-up, it's a mortal wound.
Dang.
So
okay.
it's really, really good.
On a 3-up?
Yeah.
I forgot about that one.
It's really, really good.
Okay.
So definitely his spell's just so good. And he's just got a lot of utility.
Yeah. Okay.
So I definitely think he's an auto-include in most lists. They came out with a Trogg.
Yeah, the king, right?
The Trogg.
Is he a king?
Yeah, King
Is
Trogg.
he a king? King Trogg? Lots of kings in this army.
Yeah, I just call him Trogg. But he's essentially just a speed bump. The guy's massive, and it's hard to take him down.
Yeah.
If you don't put everything into him, he's going to heal it all.
And tell me a little bit more about him. What's his name? Does anybody know his name right off the top of our heads?
Trogg.
It's literally Trogg.
Trogg.
T-R-U-G.
Trogg. Okay, so
Trogg.
tell me more about Trogg. He's pretty new.
Yep, I think he's fairly new. I actually don't have him. He's the one model I don't have.
Yeah.
But I know one of our club mates uses him all the time.
Cool.
And he's a speed bump.
Okay.
He does hit like a truck. He's kind of swingy. But again, if you don't remove him and put everything into him, he's, again, just going to heal, and he's just going to be always in your face. And always doing things.
He's a cool model,
he
too.
is awesome looking.
He's so dope looking.
Yeah, he's
that box is actually pretty good, too, if you're looking to get into Troggs, because I think it comes with 2 units of regular Troggs and then him, which is pretty dang good.
Good value.
So he's for Troggs, Skagrot. Tell me a couple other units you really like.
A couple of their staples, Squig Herd are obviously the most competitive unit, probably. They're just hard to kill. Yeah, they're hard to kill, and they do tons of damage.
Okay.
So I definitely think Squig Herd are kind of the staple in the on the Squig side of things. Gabapalooza is always good.
I was going to ask you about Gabapalooza because I really like their utility.
I think the one thing you can still do I think you can still do a 4-up rally on them.
Really?
Yeah, they're still a unit.
Yeah,
T.O.
I think
Cameron.
Yeah.
They know the rules for it.
Yeah, so it's pretty.
They can get a rally
on a 4-up rally. Yeah.
They're a 5-person unit.
Yeah.
That's a moon clan, so they get a 4-up rally.
What?
It's pretty crazy.
What?
Yeah, pretty good. Gabapalooza is really
I'm
good.
back in, baby. We're back.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so
then
Gabapalooza is pretty good.
Yeah, Gabapalooza is really a good staple. And then I would say last, your friendly Kragnos over there. I would say Kragnos is extremely good in any Gitz formation, I think.
So, yeah, tell me, now that I've taken the time, the effort, the creative brain space to create this monstrosity.
That thing's hideous.
Yeah, it is. In that, see, it's
but
supposed to
you know
inspire
what? It's
fear.
on theme. It's on theme.
So tell me about Kragnos, because I've heard mixed reviews about Kragnos in general. Because I'll hear people like, "Oh, he's not good," but then I remember you talking about like, "Yo, he's just."
I think he's really good.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about Kragnos.
He's expensive. He's definitely expensive. He takes a lot out of your list building.
720,
720, I believe.
Okay, he's a lot of points.
He's a lot of points. He's on a 2-up save, so he's really hard to kill.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! Because then if you give him inspiring, what is it? Not inspiring presence.
Finest hour.
Finest hour.
Yeah, he'll be on a 1-up. You can give him Mystic Shields. Like he can be really tough to remove.
Yeah.
He completely obliterates monsters.
Yeah.
So as soon as you charge them, they just take a bunch of mortals.
Yep.
And the 3d6 charge is extremely good. Your rock guts are really slow.
Gets that too, right?
Yeah.
And it's an 18-inch aura.
It's a 12-inch aura to do the 3d6 charge.
Okay, gotcha. And so doesn't he also have Tell me more about his roar. Does that affect you too?
Yes, it does.
Okay,
so you do have to kind of use him in a certain way. I'd make sure he's kind of out on his own. He's not next to like your entire army.
Okay.
But yeah, he will damage your units as well if he gets damaged potentially. But there's I just think he's really good for that 3d6 charge. I think that's the biggest thing.
So you say take him.
I say take him,
nice.
Especially if you're taking Troggs. I would say he is a very nice addition to have.
Getting a 3 D6 charge on the Troggs, I feel like would be dope.
Yes. You want to get really the Troggs in. They're just super slow. That's the problem you face.
How fast are they? Are they 4 or 5?
6 inches.
So they're pretty slow.
They're pretty slow.
Gotcha. So we talked a little bit about the terrain feature. Tell me a little bit about the terrain feature and like the endless spells. Let's start with the terrain feature. So let's talk about, how do I use that in its full potential? Because I know we talked about it a little bit, but tell me more about the terrain feature itself.
So in addition to getting your moonlight, right, which is pretty staple, probably one of the biggest mechanics they have is bringing back a unit size.
Yep.
Bringing back a dead unit to half the unit size on a 4-up, I believe it is. You definitely want to keep that thing alive. You don't want monsters to get to it to smash it, because if you do, you lose a ton of your overall mechanic.
Yeah.
And King Gitz, I still think is, I think
good.
Oh yeah, I think it's one of the best. I think even in a Trogg heavy, I think using the Mega Mob, Subfaction, I think is a trap. I think still using King Gitz is one of the best, unless you're going all out Squigs.
Yeah,
use Jaws of Mork because you get the +1.
Yep.
On the charge, but I think other than that, I think King Gitz is the best.
Okay.
Because rolling a 4-up, if you miss it, it feels real bad. Yeah. So being able to roll to be able to re-roll that to try to get one of your units back is a staple. It really is. Really,
it's because I think one of the grand strategies is keeping that thing alive or keeping things away.
I think it's make sure nothing is within 12 inches of it.
Okay,
and that it's not smash trouble.
So obviously, it's a staple for the army. Yes. So if you're gonna even consider the army, you should consider buying that. Out the gate
if you can find it. I mean, I think that's part of the problem is people are doing a lot of 3D prints. For them because they're just real hard to find right now.
Yeah. Tell me we mentioned a little bit about the endless spells. Let's dive into those because I am a fanboy of just wanting to keep the mushroom. Gosh, what is it called? I'm drawing a brain fart.
The Mighty Mushroom?
Yes, Mork's Mighty Mushroom.
Yeah.
Good?
No,
bad?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I just think you're taking too many points for it. I just don't think it's.
You know what's interesting? It went down, went back up, and didn't it go back down again? It's gone through like 3-point changes.
I don't know if I've seen it in a list.
Too gambly.
Too gamble, and I think it also affects your units.
It does. So like, it's kind of a bummer if you roll the casting range of it, and it's a 3.
Yeah, and you have to set it like right there.
Dudes, then you just nuked yourself.
To me, that's not good. I would say
that's so sad.
Scuttle Tide's really good because it's big.
Yeah,
and so you can actually use that endless spell to block things. So I think
it's a nice wall.
Yeah, it's a nice wall. I think Scuttle Tide's good. Malevolent Moon is also a staple too because it can put that moonlight anywhere you need it.
Okay,
it also does
I didn't
damage.
Realize that. Yeah. I haven't even looked at that war scroll because I'm just
I
gotta get the Mork's Mighty Mushroom.
I think it's like a 2-up and it is D3 mortals for anything it passes over.
And it has an aura of being in the light too?
Yeah.
Dang, I think it's
know that. 12 inches.
Gosh, look at me. Getting too excited about my little,
then
mushroom.
The Scrap Scuttle.
Oh man, I didn't even realize that was I totally forgot about that.
Garbage.
One.
It's not very good, so I wouldn't use it.
Alongside with Mork's Mighty Mushroom, just garbage. Those trash.
I just think. I mean, again, if you're good at rolling dice, you go for it. You go for it.
That's kind of how I play all my games. I feel like, unless
I've learned I've learned from this point. Like my nickname is Joel Roll for our club because I roll that bad. Yeah. So
I love the gambly stuff. I don't know why. It's like because if it works, it really sucks for your opponent.
Spiders.
But if it doesn't,
spiders.
That's funny. I got rid of all those spiders.
I'm not getting rid of them. They're too cool looking.
Tisk on me. I know there's a lot of command traits in this army because they just have a lot of different little sub-factions. Yep. So what are some notable command traits that you really like?
Fight Another Day on the Loon boss is good.
Okay.
So Super Nasty Venom doubles the mortal wounds.
Okay.
On your hero. So if you're in the light of the bad moon, you'll be on 5s for the mortals.
That's really good.
And you'll be able to double it. Now, I think they did a designer's note that I don't think you can actually double the mortals on 5s for that ability. So it still is 6s. I think there was a designer's note to not double that because I think that was a little oppressive. Which
got you.
That's
really
it's a lot, but I mean
it is. But you're right. It is really still.
It's hard. It's very hard to get that anyway.
If you don't hit those 5s, then you're.
Yeah, I mean. Spiders are in a bad spot anyway. Like, do we care at this point? I mean,
I feel you.
And then I think the other one that's the other two that I think are really good.
Yeah.
Climbing Hand is the reroll, another reroll for the moon, which I think is very good. And then Loonskin is one for the Troggs. It actually makes your hero, which is most likely the Dankled Trogg boss.
Yep.
He can cast an endless spell, and you get the endless spell for free. So I think it's pretty good.
That is really good. So going off of that, let's talk about some of the enhancements, the artifacts, the spells. What are ones you really like? What do you don't like? You know, let's start with the goblin side, right? The more like Gitz focused ones. Are there any in there that you really like, or you're not really a huge fan? I love Hand of Gork. I feel like, I don't know if...
Hand of Gork is the best spell that I think they have.
Yeah.
They have some other good ones. Itchy Nuisance is good for Strike Last.
Oh, that's the one that gets rid of...
Strike Last.
The Strike Last.
Yep, Itchy Nuisance is a Strike Last. Squig Lure is pretty good for reroll charges on Squigs. And then Scuttling Terror is for the spiders, and that's a hero move.
Now, what's the... I don't think it's a spell, or maybe it is a spell. What's the one that Skagrod has where he can take away an artifact?
Is that his? It's Nick It. I think it is.
Okay.
And it's just a normal. That's
his on his war scroll.
No, it's just a. It's on the. It's a lore. It's part of the spell lore.
Okay.
But it's really bad. It's too hard to get off. Maybe in this season, maybe fine. But there's other spells that I would rather cast with.
Yeah. So tell me some more of these spells you really like.
Well, so we went through all the spells. So again, Hand of Gork, which is the teleport, which is a staple. Itchy Nuisance, Strike Last, Squig Lure for the reroll charges, and Scuttling Terrors for a hero move.
Okay.
Artifacts.
Yeah.
I think for Troggs, the Glowy Howzit is one of the staples.
What's that one do?
4-up ward.
Okay.
On your well, I guess you're gonna typically put this on the Dankled Trogg bots as well.
Makes them really tanky.
Yeah, exactly. And it gets +1 to save in the moonlight. So he's gonna be really tanky.
Yeah.
That does go away if at any of the phase where you actually roll the 4-up. If you roll a 1 at the end of the phase, it goes away. So you potentially lose that. But I still think that's a staple for the artifact. Another good one for Troggs as well is Speaky Skull Fetish. I think this is what it's called.
Speaky Skull Fetish?
That's multiple issue commands.
Okay.
So your general can issue multiple commands. And with the Dankhold, he's got, anytime he does all-out attack, he gives him +1 to attacks for Troggs.
Gotcha.
As well as the +1 to hit. So it's really good. We talked about goblins. Moonface Mommet is pretty good. It's -1 to save rolls within 12 inches.
Okay.
So that's pretty good. Staff of Sneaky Stealin'.
Yeah.
That one is pretty good. It's not so much good in this current GHB.
Okay.
But in general, it's pretty good. It adds 1 to your casting value for the rest of the game each time the wizard unbinds something.
Wow.
So it's pretty good.
Dang.
So, yeah. So it's pretty good. I guess technically it could be pretty good in this GHB, but I think
because you're rolling a bunch of extra dice.
Right.
So if you're just like slow stacking that, then I'm sure that is pretty dang good. Sorry, I just totally almost vomited right there.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Was it the moon? Did you look at it?
I'm like, sorry.
Puke yellow.
That could have been horrible.
It's all over the table.
Just leave the. Sorry.
Of course, it would be on my interview. It's fine.
Okay, cool. So with all that being said, let's talk about some of your favorite combos. Now, I know you guys play very competitively. You guys talk about that on your channel all the time.
Yep.
What are some of your favorite combos? And obviously, I know that changes with seasons and stuff like that, but what are some of your current favorites and like evergreen favorites?
Yeah, so I've got 2. One of them I learned from one of our club members, Garen, who, again, plays Gitz all the time.
Nice.
He's very, very good. He likes to put Fell Waters, which give a -1 to save if they end up doing damage to you.
Yeah.
When they shoot you, he likes putting those behind a bunch of rockets.
Okay.
So what happens is you charge the rockets, the Fell Waters will unleash hell.
Nice.
Giving the -1 save, and then the rockets will hit after that. So it's a good little combo if you can kind of castle your Fell Waters behind a bunch of rockets. So pretty good. My favorite one though is using your boy, Kragnos.
That's my boy.
Kragnos and Zarbag. I love to put
Zarbag, right.
Yes, I love to put Kragnos and Zarbag together.
Okay.
And I will just put them out there. If something, most people for Kragnos, they want to charge him before he charges you, because again, if he charges something, he's going to do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
So it happens quite a bit. I'll get charged from someone from Kragnos.
Them trying to take him out.
Well, not even just take him out, just slow him down, just so he can't charge anywhere, right? But with Zarbag, he's got his little spell where it forces the opponent to retreat. So I love to use Zarbag to retreat. And then if they can't retreat, they actually take mortals. So if they get stuck behind something and they can't retreat, or they move really slow and you can't get outside 3, they'll take damage.
That's awesome.
It's kind of a double whammy there. I really like using Zarbag with Kragnos.
Do you use Kragnos quite a bit, like in your general lists?
I do.
Is he super competitive?
Yes and no. I would say currently probably not, but I like big monsters. I like Monster Mash, so sure. I like to use them.
So you like Kragnos. Worth it to take him, even though he's just a boatload of points.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I still think he's very good, and I still think he's useful in especially Troggs.
Okay.
Maybe not so much in the Squigs, because I think.
What about the Gitz?
Gobbies, no. You need to move on.
The reason why I like that is because you have this massive thing coming at you, and then you got all these
I will say, if you brought that to a tournament, I played you, and I would just be like, I have to get that thing out of here.
Yeah. Big target.
Like, look how
maybe
massive
it's a distraction.
That thing is.
Maybe it's a whole new tactic. It's like, hey, maybe you should go after that huge.
I don't even think a giant is as big as that thing is.
No, we won't even talk about my giants. My great shame, unfortunately.
That's for another day.
That's for another day, dude.
Oh boy,
I love sons, but that's.
Well, if you did that with Kragnos, I'd love to see what you do with sons.
You nailed it on the head. You nailed it on the head. No. We'll talk about that afterwards. Yeah, we'll talk about that afterwards. My great shame. So now we've talked about kind of some of your combos. Let's talk about grand strategies. What grand strategies do you like for the army? What kind of battle tactics are you really liking for them? Just give me a little brief.
As far as grand strategies, we've only talked about one that I would take, and it's just protect the shrine. I think the other ones are not very good.
You think that one's just like a good staple?
Yeah, I think that's a good staple. Either that or just use one of the current GHB ones. I think the other ones are just not very good.
Okay.
Battle tactics are actually pretty decent. I think this is one of the issues I think Gitz has, is the first turn battle tactics are really tough.
Okay.
But
what do you use in first turn then?
Probably one of the GHB ones, the current GHB ones that are out. I think the battle tactics get easier as the game goes on for Gitz, because a lot of them are like, make sure you control an objective and everyone's underneath the moon and stuff like that. So there's ways to manipulate that, or kill a unit and anything's not in the whatever kills it is not in the moon.
Okay.
So there's stuff like that. It's very moon based, but I think those I think they're all pretty decent. I just think at the beginning of the game you just got to go with something GHB one, because it's just too hard.
So, but protect the shrine's pretty good.
Yeah, for a grand strat, I would definitely do that for sure.
So, going off of this, I'm somebody who wants. Actually, no. Let's preference it this. Chris loves the Gitz. I love this army. I bought them because I just wanted 1,000 little dudes. Not the best way to play them, but for somebody who's looking to get into the army, what are some suggestions you have and some tips for those getting into the army? Just general tips.
Yeah. So I would say, just being completely honest, I don't think Gloomspite Gitz, I don't think is a very good new player friendly army.
Interesting.
And I say that because there's a lot of tech involved in playing this, especially from a competitive nature. I will say though, everyone hobby is different, right? Whether you play, paint, or build, or even lore, right?
Yeah.
I think from a lore, paint, and build perspective, I don't think you can get a better army. I think
they have some really cool
I think they are the best.
heroes.
So if you're into that type of thing, I'd say Gitz all the way. From a playing perspective, they're just not very good for a new player.
There's too much going on especially with all the rules that you got to remember anyway.
Yep. Very, like I said, Squigs, it takes a special, you got to really understand their rules and their auras in order to use them efficiently.
Okay.
Now, I will say if you are diehard and just want to get into Gitz, definitely go the Trogg route. Again, I think it's very forgiving. And I think the rules aren't super hard. And it's a very simple way to play. So, but I would say for new players, that's the best way to go.
If I'm going up against the army, what do I need to know about Gitz that I should expect?
So if you're going up against them, it can be kind of daunting because there's just a lot going on on the other side of the table. But I'll say if they're heavy into Squigs, I think the best way to beat them is to, like we were saying, they're very castle, right? You want to split them up.
Okay.
So you want to... if there's like 4 objectives in the middle, you want to go this way and split them up so you can get their heroes to figure out which way they're going, right?
Yep.
And once you split their army, there's better ways to get in there and kill their heroes.
Okay.
Most Gitz armies are just based on their hero play.
Yeah.
If you can get to their heroes, the rest of it
knock
crumbles.
them out, and then just everything else just becomes chaff.
Yep. So you definitely want to split the Squig army if you can. For Trogg armies, you definitely want to pinpoint damage. Never split attacks against Troggs because they're just hard to get rid of. So you want to make sure you just take out 1 unit at a time. And if you can kill the Dankhold Trogg boss, that's what I would do for Troggs. Okay. And then I would say also with Troggs too is they're very slow. So if you are playing against them and you have a lot of fast moving units, that's gonna
beat them with speed.
Yep.
Okay.
And then last, I would say again, we talked about it earlier. Take out the shrine. If there's some way where you can get a monster into their shrine and take them out, that's the best way to do it.
I'm glad we are able to have this conversation because I'm one of those players who's like, I play an army because I like how they look or I have this theme. So I'm glad we were able to talk about it.
Gitz is the best thing for that, though. I mean, you can take. I mean, that's the whole reason I got them. I do like Fruity Loops.
Well, Joel, thank you so much for taking some time. You guys, please like, comment, subscribe, and follow A House of Hobbies. They go into deep competitive play styles. And actually, Joel, if you want to talk a little bit about A House of Hobbies, kind of give me what you guys do. And
we've got a small little club based in Arizona, and we have a YouTube channel and a Discord and all that. I'm sure that'll be posted. But yeah, we do a lot of reviews and deep dives into more of the competitive nature and tournaments and stuff like that, list building. And we do all of the armies, all the factions.
So thanks again for taking the time, and
thank you.
We'll make sure we put your stuff down in the description. And
thank you.
That was awesome.